The billionaire's daring invitation. A scandalous proposal hook. "What did you just say, Liam?" Chloe demanded, her pen clattering onto the desk as she stared at him in disbelief. Liam, seated across from her in his sprawling 20th floor executive office, sighed. He knew his decision was impulsive, but there was no turning back now. "I'm inviting you to the annual company gala, Chloe. I want you to go with me." Chloe let out a nervous little laugh, crossing her arms, trying to process what she'd just heard. She'd worked for Liam Sterling for 3 years, and never once had she imagined herself in a situation like this. "That doesn't make sense, Liam. You're the boss, the owner of all this, and I'm your assistant. It would look strange." "What will people think?" Chloe retorted. "I don't care what they think, Chloe," Liam said, leaning forward slightly, his expression serious. "I need someone genuine by my side that night, someone I can trust, someone like you." Chloe shook her head quickly, feeling anxiety begin to creep in. "Because I don't belong in that world. I don't have expensive dresses or jewelry like your friends wear. I don't know how to act at events like that. It sounds absurd." "So what if you don't have an expensive dress? That doesn't matter. No one has the right to judge you for that," Liam responded firmly. "If someone does, that's their problem, not yours." Chloe stared at him, searching for any sign that this was just a joke. But Liam wasn't joking. His gaze was direct, almost challenging, as if he were trying to convince her of something much bigger than a simple party invitation. "Why me?" she finally asked, her voice dropping slightly. "Why don't you invite Victoria, or one of those women who are always around you in the magazines?" Liam was silent for a moment. Then he rose from his chair and walked to the window where the lights of Manhattan twinkled in the distance. "Because I don't want to share my time with someone empty, Chloe. I want to share it with you." Chloe felt those words pierce her. She had never heard anything like that from him. Liam had always been reserved, polite, but distant. And now he was there, looking at her as if she were the only person in the world who mattered. "This is crazy," Chloe said, shaking her head again. "If I go, they'll talk about me. They'll say horrible things. They already talk about me all the time." Liam turned to her with a small smile. "Believe me, it won't be anything new." Chloe fell silent, analyzing what he was saying. Her fears battled against the curiosity that was beginning to awaken within her. The idea of standing in the middle of all those rich and powerful people was terrifying, but there was also something in the way Liam looked at her that gave her courage. "I don't know what to say," she finally murmured. "Say yes," he replied, with a faint smile. "Say you trust me." Chloe looked at him for a few more seconds before letting out a long, heavy sigh. "All right, but if this goes wrong, it's on you." Liam smiled, this time with more confidence. "Deal." As Chloe gathered her things to go home, her mind was full of questions and doubts. What was behind this invitation? Why had Liam, a man who could have anything, decided to take her? And most importantly, was she ready to face a world that wasn't hers? Only time would tell. What do you think is Liam's true motivation for inviting Chloe? Share your theories in the comments below. The grand entrance, judgment, and determination. "I can't believe he actually convinced me," Chloe murmured, as she adjusted the strap of the elegant black dress her friend Sarah had lent her. "You look spectacular," Sarah exclaimed from across the room, quickly touching up Chloe's hair. Besides, who in their right mind would say no to a gala night with Liam Sterling? The man is on magazine covers for a reason, right? "I'm not sure that's a good thing," Chloe replied, looking at her reflection in the mirror. Her updo revealed her simple silver earrings, and though the dress was elegant, she felt like it screamed, "I don't belong here." "Chloe, stop overthinking. It's not the end of the world. You go, eat some delicious food. Dance a little, and that's it. You don't even have to talk to anyone who gives you a dirty look." Sarah exhaled, trying to convince her. Chloe knew she was right, but the knot in her stomach wouldn't disappear. Soon after, Liam arrived in his car to pick her up. When Chloe stepped out of her building, she felt the eyes of her neighbors fix on her. She wasn't used to that kind of attention, much less getting into a luxury car with a chauffeur. "You look incredible," Liam said, as soon as she sat next to him. His voice had a softer tone than usual, almost admiring. Chloe gave him a shy smile. "Thanks, though this doesn't change the fact that I still think it's crazy." Liam chuckled. "Then we'll have an unforgettable night. The best stories always start with something crazy." The car stopped in front of an imposing ballroom in the heart of Midtown. From the marble stairs, they could see the sparkle of jewelry and the elegant gowns of the attendees, all surrounded by an air of exclusivity. As she stepped out of the car, Chloe felt anxiety take over again. Liam extended his arm. "Trust me." She took it, took a deep breath, and walked forward. The interior of the ballroom was even more intimidating. Golden lights hung from enormous chandeliers, and the place was filled with the most influential figures of the New York elite. All eyes seemed to turn towards them when they entered. Chloe wanted to sink into the floor, but Liam walked confidently, greeting acquaintances and introducing her as if she were the most important guest of the night. "Liam!" A sharp voice cut through the conversation. It was Eleanor, Liam's mother, in a blue gown that looked as expensive as a house. Beside her, his brother, Patrick, gave Chloe an evaluating look that instantly made her uncomfortable. "Mom, Patrick," Liam said calmly. "This is Chloe Adams, my assistant. It's an honor for her to accompany me tonight." Eleanor raised an eyebrow, clearly displeased. "Charmed, Chloe, though I must admit I'm surprised. I didn't expect Liam to bring someone like you." Chloe felt the sting, but maintained her composure. "The pleasure is mine, Mrs. Sterling. Liam is an incredible boss, and I'm honored to be here." Patrick smirked. "Well, Liam has always had peculiar tastes, haven't you, brother?" Liam ignored him, lightly squeezing Chloe's arm, as if to reassure her. "Come on, Chloe. I think someone else wants to meet you." The night continued, with Liam introducing her to important people in the industry. Although some were kind, others didn't hide their disdain. Every malicious comment and judgmental glance made Chloe want to disappear. But Liam didn't leave her side, ensuring she felt valued. At one point, they found themselves alone on the ballroom balcony, away from the bustle. "Are you okay?" Liam asked, noticing the tension on her face. "I'm not used to this, Liam. All these people, the comments. I feel out of place." "Chloe, listen," he said, looking her directly in the eyes. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone here. I invited you because I trust you, because I admire who you are. Nothing else matters." Chloe swallowed, feeling those words calm the whirlwind inside her a bit. Before she could reply, a group of people appeared on the balcony, among them Victoria, who was clearly Eleanor's original plan for Liam. "What an adorable scene," Victoria said, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Liam, darling, aren't you going to introduce your companion?" "Victoria, this is Chloe Adams." "Chloe, Victoria is an old family acquaintance," Liam replied, without hiding the coolness in his voice. Victoria leaned towards Chloe, as if sharing a secret. "I hope you enjoy this night. Not everyone has the privilege of entering this world, even if it's just for a moment." Chloe didn't respond, but her steady gaze made it clear she wouldn't be intimidated. Later, as guests began to leave, Liam walked her to the car. "You did incredibly well," he said, breaking the silence. "I'm proud of you." Chloe just looked at him, not knowing how to interpret everything that had happened that night. But something inside her was beginning to change, as if a door had opened to a completely new, albeit dangerous world. How would you react to Liam's family's cold reception? Let us know in the comments. The ultimatum and the crossroads. "I can't believe what you did last night, Liam," Eleanor said, with a harshness that filled the private study of the Sterling family. She sat on one of the leather armchairs, legs crossed, with a look of utter disapproval. Liam, standing by the window, ran a hand through his hair, trying to keep calm. His mother had asked to speak to him urgently, but he knew perfectly well it wouldn't be a constructive conversation. "I don't see what was so serious, Mom. I invited Chloe because I wanted her to accompany me. I don't understand why you're making a drama out of this." "A drama?" Eleanor leaned forward, her voice low but menacing. "You are the heir to one of the most important companies in the country. People look at you, Liam. Everyone expected you to be with someone like Victoria, not with that woman." Liam clenched his fists, but his voice remained calm. "And what's wrong with Chloe? She's hardworking, intelligent. She has more character than most of the people I'm forced to associate with. She's not our class." Eleanor stood up abruptly, her face full of indignation. "She's a woman with no name, no education, no connections. Don't you understand how this affects our image?" Liam slowly turned to face her. "What image, Mom? The one of a family that cares more about appearances than about people? If that's what you believe, then I'm not interested in maintaining that facade." "Be careful how you speak to me," Eleanor snapped, raising her voice for the first time. Her eyes were filled with a mixture of fury and disappointment. "You're not just risking your reputation, Liam. You're risking everything your father worked for." Liam felt a sharp pain at the mention of his father. He had been the only person who taught him real values, who showed him what it meant to lead with integrity. "Dad would never have approved of what you're doing, Mom. He wouldn't have cared where Chloe came from. He would have cared about whether she was a good person, and she is." Eleanor scoffed, as if those words carried no weight. "This isn't a discussion, Liam. Victoria is a woman of our class, educated, wealthy. She's destined to be your wife, and I won't let you throw that away for a whim." Liam took a step towards her, this time letting his frustration show in his tone. "I'm not going to marry Victoria. Never. And if all you want from me is for me to be a puppet for your ambitions, then don't count on me." Eleanor stared at him, trying to gauge how much of what he said was true. Finally, her face hardened even more. "If you insist on continuing with this, Liam, I will do whatever is necessary to protect this family." "What does that mean?" Liam asked, though he already had an idea of what she was planning. "It means I'll cut off your access to your funds, without the support of this family, without anything. And believe me, an assistant on a meager salary won't be able to help you maintain your lifestyle." Liam laughed, though there was no joy in his expression. "Is that how little you trust me? Do you think I can't stand on my own?" Eleanor didn't answer. She just looked at him with a mixture of disappointment and determination, as if she had just made a definitive decision. "Do whatever you want, Mom," Liam finally said, approaching the door. "But I assure you of one thing. I'm not living my life on your terms." He left the study without looking back, leaving Eleanor alone. Later, Liam met Chloe at a small cafe in downtown. She had insisted on talking in a neutral place, away from the formality of the office. "What happened?" Chloe asked as soon as he sat across from her. There was something in his expression that worried her, a mixture of nerves and distance. "My mother gave me an ultimatum," Liam said bluntly. Chloe stared at him, waiting for him to continue. "She wants me to stop seeing you. She says you're ruining my reputation, that you don't belong in this world, and that she'll cut me off if I don't do what she wants." Chloe leaned back in her chair, letting out a long sigh. She knew this was going to happen. "This is what I told you, Liam. I don't belong in your world. Don't say that. I'm not going to let my family control my life. But they will. They already are. And I can't be the reason you lose everything." Liam leaned forward, taking her hand. "Chloe, the only thing I would truly lose would be you. Everything else, the money, the power, means nothing if I have to live as they want." Chloe wanted to believe him, but she couldn't ignore the weight of what he was saying. Her own experience had taught her that life wasn't as simple as choosing between love and responsibilities. "Let me think about it, Liam. I need time." Liam nodded, though every fiber of his being told him he couldn't let her go. "Take all the time you need, but don't forget something, Chloe. This isn't a sacrifice for me. This is my choice." Chloe didn't reply, but as she watched him leave the cafe, her mind was filled with doubts. Could she really risk everything he was willing to fight for? And was she ready to face the world around him? If you were Chloe, facing this family pressure, what would be your priority? Let us know in the comments. The weight of choice and a boy's smile. Chloe stood in the kitchen of her small apartment in Brooklyn, distractedly looking at the coffee cup she held in her hands. Sarah was sitting in the dining room, observing her with a mixture of concern and curiosity. "So, what are you going to do?" Sarah finally asked, breaking the silence. Chloe sighed and sank into the chair opposite her friend. "I don't know, Sarah. All of this is getting out of control. I never thought I'd end up in the middle of a fight between Liam and his family." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "But you really are in the middle, because from what you're telling me, the problem is with them, not with you." "Yes, but they're right about one thing. I don't belong in their world. I'm trying to stay afloat with my salary, raising Leo alone. What am I going to do if all this ends up affecting him?" Sarah clucked her tongue, annoyed. "Listen, Chloe, Liam isn't just any rich kid. If he's defending you against that family of vipers, it's because he really cares about you. Are you really going to let them win?" Chloe didn't answer immediately. She looked towards Leo's room, where her son was playing on the floor with his collection of toy cars. The mere thought of how her decision could complicate her son's life filled her with doubts. "I have to think about Leo, Sarah," she finally said in a low voice. Sarah crossed her arms. "And what if thinking about him also means letting Liam be a part of his life? Leo adores him, and you know it." Chloe lowered her gaze. She couldn't deny that Liam had connected in a special way with Leo. Every time he visited, her son greeted him with open arms and a smile that seemed to light up the whole apartment. But Eleanor's words and Patrick's cold stares still weighed heavily on her mind. A few days later, Liam called Chloe and asked to see her, this time not at the office or a restaurant, but at her apartment. Chloe hesitated, but finally agreed. When she opened the door and saw him with a small bag in his hand, she couldn't help but smile. "What do you have there?" she asked, pointing to the bag. "Something for Leo," Liam replied, entering the apartment. "Is he home?" "Yes, he's in his room. But Liam, you don't have to bring him things all the time." "I want to. Besides, I think it's something he'll like." Chloe led him to the small dining room while calling Leo. Her son came running out of his room, excited to see Liam. "Liam!" Leo shouted, hugging him. Liam smiled and handed him the bag. Leo opened it quickly, pulling out a construction set. His eyes lit up with excitement. "Thanks. Can we play together?" "Of course, champ," Liam said, kneeling to sit on the floor with him. Chloe watched the scene from the kitchen. There was something about the way Liam interacted with Leo that made her think of all that could be. For a moment, she let that little hope seep into her mind. After playing for a while, Liam stood up and approached Chloe, who was leaning against the wall. "I wanted to see you alone too," he said, in a more serious tone. Chloe nodded and led him to the small balcony of the apartment. "What's wrong?" she asked, though she knew the conversation wouldn't be easy. Liam looked at her intently for a moment before speaking. "Chloe, I need you to know that everything I'm doing because I want to be with you, not because I feel pity or because it's some kind of whim." Chloe crossed her arms, defensive. "That doesn't mean it's going to be easy, Liam. Your family has already made it clear they don't want me around, and I can't help but think about how this could complicate everything, especially for Leo. I understand, but I also believe that sometimes You have to take risks for what's worth it. Don't you think this is worth it? Chloe wanted to say yes, that she trusted him, and that she was willing to try. But fear still held her back. Liam, it's not just about what I feel. There's too much at stake, and I don't want you to end up losing everything because of me. Liam let out a small sigh, frustrated, but remained calm. Chloe, the only thing I'm willing to lose is what ties me to a life I don't want. If that means giving up my family's money or confronting them, I'll do it. But I can't do it without knowing that you also want to be with me. Chloe looked at him, trying to find the right words. Finally, she dared to be honest. I want to be with you, Liam, but I also want to be sure that we're making this decision for the right reasons. Liam smiled, as if her words were exactly what he needed to hear. Then let's do it together, step by step. I don't have all the answers, but I know I want you in my life. Chloe nodded, though doubts still lingered. For the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to make everything work. From the balcony, they could hear Leo's laughter as he played in the living room, a silent reminder of what truly mattered. The public outcry and the reckoning. Chloe's phone buzzed loudly on the office desk. She had barely had time to breathe that morning. Emails kept pouring in, calls piled up, and Leo had been more restless than usual before she dropped him off at school. She looked at the screen. It was Sarah. Can I call you back later? I'm swamped, Chloe said quickly when she answered. No, you have to see this right now. Sarah's tone was so grave that Chloe stopped what she was doing. What's wrong? She asked, her heart beating faster. Check social media. You're all over it. Chloe opened her browser and went straight to the news. What she saw took her breath away. Photos of her and Liam at the gala, some taken in the most private moments, like when they were on the balcony. The headlines couldn't be crueler. The rebel CEO and his neighborhood assistant romance, whim or scandal, Liam Sterling defies rules with his new muse. Blood drained from her face. She opened another page and saw the worst. Comments filled with insults, gossip about her past, and speculation about Leo. They had published her entire life as if it were a spectacle. This can't be happening, she murmured, burying her face in her hands. It's Patrick, Sarah said angrily on the other end of the phone. I'm sure of it. That guy is a jerk. Chloe couldn't think clearly. She had expected rejection, perhaps cruel looks and comments, but this was too much. Someone had investigated her life, her problems, her history with Leo, and had turned it into ammunition to humiliate her. Chloe, are you there? Sarah insisted. Yes, but I don't know what to do. I can't deal with this, Sarah. And I certainly don't want Leo to get caught up in all of this. At that moment, a male voice interrupted her thoughts. It was Liam, who had just entered the office. Chloe, can I speak with you for a moment? He asked calmly, though his expression showed that he was also aware of what was happening. Chloe nodded slowly and hung up with Sarah. She followed him to an empty meeting room, where Liam closed the door behind them. I know what you saw, he said, getting straight to the point. This is Patrick's doing. I'm sure of it. Chloe crossed her arms, trying to maintain her composure. And now what? Do we wait for them to completely destroy me? Because that's what they seem to want. I'm not going to let that happen, Liam said firmly. He walked towards her and took her hands. I'm doing everything I can to control the situation. Patrick and my mother are behind this, and I'm going to confront them. Chloe looked at him in disbelief. And you think that will make any difference? They have all the power, Liam. You can ignore the gossip because you're used to living in that world, but I'm not. I can't let them ruin my life. Liam pressed his lips together, fighting his own frustration. And what do you propose? That you simply walk away? That you let them win? It's not about winning or losing, Chloe replied, pulling her hands away from his. It's about protecting my son, protecting the little I have. Maybe this was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. None of this was. Liam raised his voice, not in anger, but in desperation. Chloe, you can't give up now. Chloe stared at him, seeing the pain on his face. She wanted to believe him, but she couldn't ignore the reality of what was happening. I need time, Liam. Time to think. Time to protect Leo. This isn't just about us. Liam nodded slowly, though his expression showed that he disagreed. Do what you need to, but don't forget this. I'm willing to lose everything for you. Chloe didn't respond. As soon as she left the room, she headed to the bathroom and locked herself in a stall, letting the tears she had been holding back finally fall. Meanwhile, in Eleanor's luxurious office, Patrick leaned back in the leather armchair with a triumphant smile. I told you this would work, Mom. That woman won't take long to walk away. Eleanor, however, didn't seem so pleased. And what if Liam doesn't give up? He's more stubborn than I thought. Patrick shrugged. It doesn't matter. Once she leaves him, he'll be alone. And when he's alone, he'll get back on the path we want. Eleanor looked at him, though doubt was beginning to appear in her eyes. You better not be wrong, Patrick. This has to end now. Patrick smiled confidently. Believe me, Mom, it's already happening. Hours later, Liam arrived at Chloe's apartment unannounced. He knocked on the door and waited. When she opened it, she looked tired, her eyes red from crying. What are you doing here? She asked without letting him in. I couldn't stay without seeing you, Liam said directly. And I also can't let them win, Chloe. I don't want you to push me out of your life because you're afraid of them. Chloe looked at him with conflicting emotions. She wanted to trust him. She wanted to let go, but she knew the cost was too high. Liam, it's not that easy. I can't risk everything for something I don't even know if it can work. Then let me show you that it can, he said with an intensity that took her by surprise. Give me that chance. Chloe didn't reply, but in her silence, she knew the decision was closer than she thought. The boardroom battle and a father's legacy. The morning began with a heavy atmosphere in the central offices of Nexus Tech Solutions. Liam walked quickly through the hallways, ignoring greetings and curious glances. He knew this day would be crucial. Patrick had called an emergency meeting with the board of directors, and although no one had explained the reasons, Liam suspected that the attack against Chloe was only the beginning. Chloe was also in the office, trying to concentrate on her work, but her mind was elsewhere. She hadn't spoken much with Liam since he went to her apartment. Her heart was torn between fear and the desire to trust him. Now, seeing the nervousness on the faces of the employees, she knew something important was about to happen. When the clock struck 11, Liam entered the boardroom, where all the board members were already seated. Patrick, always impeccable in his expensive suit, had a confident smile as he leaned back in his chair. Beside him, Eleanor watched Liam with a cold, calculating gaze. Thank you all for coming, Patrick said, breaking the initial silence. Unfortunately, we have reached a point where we need to address certain issues that affect the image and stability of our company. Liam clenched his jaw. He knew exactly where this was all going, but decided to wait. He wanted Patrick to show his cards first. Let's be direct, Patrick continued, addressing the rest of those present. As everyone knows, our dear CEO has been involved in a situation that is attracting unwanted attention. The press keeps talking about his relationship with one of our employees, which honestly is damaging our reputation. One of the board members raised his hand. What evidence do you have that this directly affects the company? Patrick smiled as if he had been waiting for the question, pulled out a folder, and slid it across the table. Here are reports from clients who are reconsidering their contracts. There are also mentions of the controversy on social media, which affects the public perception of the brand. Liam couldn't hold back anymore. This has nothing to do with the company, Patrick. This is a personal attack, and everyone knows it. Patrick raised his eyebrows, feigning surprise. A personal attack? Liam, I'm just concerned about the company's well-being. What you do with your private life should be just that. Private. But when your decisions affect everyone, it's my responsibility to intervene. Your responsibility? Liam laughed bitterly. The only thing you care about is taking control. This has nothing to do with the company's reputation. It's about your ego and your ambition. Eleanor interrupted before Liam could continue. Enough, Liam. Patrick is doing the right thing. Your relationship with that woman is destroying what your father built. Is that what you want? Liam turned to his mother, a look of disbelief on his face. You think that everything Dad did can be reduced to a series of contracts and appearances? He taught me that people are worth more than any company. And you, Mom, you're betraying him with this farce. Don't you dare talk to me about betrayal, Eleanor snapped, raising her voice for the first time. The tension in the room was palpable. Patrick seized the opportunity to regain control of the conversation. I propose a vote. If the board agrees, I believe Liam should temporarily step down as CEO until this situation is resolved. Liam looked at the rest of the board. Some avoided his gaze, uncomfortable. Others seemed to be considering the proposal. He knew he couldn't stay silent. If you're going to vote, then listen to this first, he said, with a firmness that made everyone look at him. Patrick, you talk about the company's reputation. But what about your own actions? I've been investigating your financial movements, and what I found is not exactly honorable. The room fell silent. Patrick tried to maintain his composure, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of nervousness. What are you talking about? He asked, with feigned calm. Liam pulled a document from his briefcase and placed it on the table. Here's proof that you've been diverting company funds for personal projects. You bought properties with Nexus Tech Solutions money and disguised it as operational expenses. This is embezzlement, Patrick, and I assure you I'm not going to keep quiet. Murmurs began among the board members. Some took the documents and read them carefully. Patrick, for the first time, seemed speechless. This is an unfounded attack, he stammered, trying to regain control. Liam is desperate to divert attention from his own mistakes. Unfounded? Liam interrupted, pointing to the documents. It's all there, and if the board allows it, I can send this directly to the authorities. Eleanor looked at Patrick with contained fury. Is this true? Patrick tried to defend himself, but his silence betrayed him. Finally, one of the board members, an older man with experience in the industry, spoke. This is unacceptable. I believe we have more serious matters to discuss than Liam's personal life. I propose that Patrick be immediately removed while we investigate these accusations. The proposal was supported by the majority of the board. Patrick left the room defeated, while Eleanor remained silent, processing what had just happened. When it was all over, Liam approached his mother. Now you understand why I can't continue with this family on these terms. I'm not like you, Mom, and I don't want to be. Eleanor didn't respond. She simply looked at him with a mixture of fury and disdain. Liam left the boardroom, feeling a mix of relief and exhaustion. He knew the battle was far from over, but he had taken an important step. The next, he thought, would be to win back Chloe, a glimmer of hope and a shared future. Chloe sat at the small table in her dining room, staring at her phone. She had read every news article, every comment, every message of support and hate that had arrived since the Gala photos appeared online. In the back of her mind, the question still lingered. Is all this worth it? Leo played on the living room floor, oblivious to the whirlwind surrounding his mother. Every time she looked at him, Chloe felt that her decision had to be clear. Distance herself from Liam, protect her son, and rebuild her life away from the chaos. But the weight of her emotions complicated everything. A text message interrupted her thoughts. It was Liam. Chloe, I need to see you. Please, it's important." She sighed. She didn't know if she was ready to face him, but something in his tone seemed different. After a few seconds, she replied, "Okay, you can come after 7. At 7 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rang. Liam was there, with an expression that mixed weariness and determination. Chloe let him in, and he greeted Leo with a smile before heading to the kitchen where she waited. "What happened?" Chloe asked, crossing her arms, ready for the conversation she knew was coming. Liam leaned against the doorframe, as if searching for the right words. Finally, he spoke. "I had Patrick removed." Chloe looked at him, surprised. "What?" "We expelled him from the board. I proved he was stealing from the company." Liam paused and exhaled. "All that drama he and my mother stirred up, all the attacks against you. It was their way of trying to get rid of me before I discovered it." Chloe remained silent, processing what he was telling her. On one hand, she felt relief that the truth had come to light, but on the other, she knew that this didn't mean the problems would end. "And your mom?" she finally asked. Liam shook his head. "She's still on his side, but now she has less power. Still, I'm not going to continue being a part of that world." Chloe leaned against the table, looking at him intently. "Liam, I can't help but wonder, is all this worth it?" He took a step towards her. "Of course it is. Chloe, I've said it before, but I'll repeat it as many times as necessary. I don't care what I lose if it means being with you. It's not just about you, Liam. It's about me, about Leo, about what we face every day since this began." Liam took her hands gently, forcing her to look him in the eyes. "I know this hasn't been easy for you, and I don't have all the answers. But what I do know is that I don't want you to face all this alone. I want to be with you. I want Leo to know he can count on me." Chloe felt tears welling up. She wanted to believe his words, but the fear was still there, insistent, reminding her of everything that could go wrong. "I don't know if I'm ready for this, Liam," she said softly. "I don't know if I have the strength." "Yes, you do. You always have. You just need to remember it." Liam squeezed her hands tightly, as if wanting to transmit his determination. At that moment, Leo ran into the kitchen holding a drawing in his hand. "Look, Liam, I made this for you." Liam knelt to receive the drawing, a clumsy but adorable portrait of the three of them, Chloe, Liam, and Leo. "It's perfect, champ," Liam said with a sincere smile. "Thank you very much." Chloe watched the scene and felt something change inside her. She wasn't sure if it was hope or simply weariness of fighting the inevitable, but in that moment, for the first time, she allowed a small part of herself to believe that maybe they could make it work. "I want to try," Liam began, but his voice cracked. He took a breath and continued. "I want to try, but I need you to understand that this won't be easy, and if at any point I feel like I can't do this anymore, I need you to let me go." Liam nodded, his eyes shining. "I understand, but I promise I will do everything in my power to make sure you never feel that way." Chloe looked into his eyes, searching for any sign of doubt, but found none. Finally, she nodded. "Then we'll try." Liam smiled, and in that moment, Chloe felt that maybe she had made the right decision. As Leo continued to proudly display his drawing, Chloe allowed a small ray of hope to illuminate the path ahead of them. The new beginning, a life built on authenticity. The atmosphere at the Nexus Tech Solutions office had changed. Patrick's departure and the exposure of his malpractices had caused an internal stir, but they had also given Liam the respect he needed from those who doubted his leadership. However, Liam had already made his decision. He would leave his position as CEO to start anew, far from family pressures. Chloe, now more involved in the decisions of her personal and professional life, was finishing her last day as an assistant. She had accepted a new position as a marketing consultant, thanks to her experience and the references Liam helped her get. Although she was excited about her future, the change also filled her with uncertainty. "Are you sure about this?" Sarah asked, when they met for lunch at a cozy diner downtown. "Completely," Chloe replied, taking a sip of her coffee. "It's time I stopped living in the shadow of others and did something for myself." Sarah smiled, proud of her friend. "That sounds like the Chloe I always knew you could be." Chloe laughed, relaxing a bit. There was something comforting in the way Liam made her feel, even in moments of greatest pressure. In the following days, both dedicated themselves to launching their new company. They worked side by side, combining their skills. Liam took care of the technological side, while Chloe developed marketing strategies that attracted their first clients. It was a slow process, but every small achievement filled them with pride. Meanwhile, Liam began to spend more time with Leo, helping him with homework, taking him to the park, and even teaching him some basic programming concepts. One night, while Leo slept, Chloe and Liam sat in the living room of her apartment, sharing a glass of wine after a long day. "I never thought we'd get here," Chloe said, breaking the silence. "Me neither," Liam admitted, "but I also believe that everything that happened led us to this moment." Chloe looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and vulnerability. "Liam, I've learned to trust you, and I know all this has been difficult, but I think we're doing something that truly matters." Liam took her hand and squeezed it gently. "What matters is that we're doing it together." For the first time in a long time, Chloe felt that they were building something solid, something that could withstand any storm. However, not everyone was happy with their progress. Eleanor, though more limited in her reach, continued to watch them from the shadows. In a private meeting with her lawyers, she discussed ways to regain control of the family shares. "Liam can't just leave everything and walk away clean," she said with a determined look. "If he doesn't come back, I'll find a way to make him pay for what he's done." Patrick, who remained silent, observed his mother with interest. He had lost his place in the company, but he still had allies in key sectors. He knew there was still time to reclaim what he considered his. Meanwhile, Chloe and Liam had no idea what was being planned against them. They were focused on their new business and on strengthening their relationship. Deep down, both knew that they still faced challenges, but for the first time in a long time, they felt ready to face them together. The revelation and a father's gift, the first rays of dawn began to filter through the window of the small apartment as Chloe and Liam worked in silence, reviewing a new client's proposals. There was something magical about that moment. The feeling that, after everything they had been through, they were exactly where they were meant to be. Things seemed to be moving smoothly for Liam and Chloe. Their new company was starting to take off, and although the income was modest, each new client gave them a sense of accomplishment. However, both knew that the shadows of the past still loomed over them, especially in the figure of Eleanor. One afternoon, while working in the small office, Liam received a call from his mother. He hesitated to answer, but finally decided to. He knew avoiding her would only postpone the inevitable. "What do you want, Mom?" he asked, not bothering to hide the weariness in his voice. "Liam, we need to talk. In person. It's about your father." Liam felt the air grow denser. His mother rarely mentioned his father, and when she did, it was usually to manipulate. "What about him?" he asked, trying to keep calm. "Not over the phone. Come to the house tonight and bring Chloe if she also wants to understand the truth." Eleanor hung up before he could respond. Liam stood motionless, the phone still in his hand. Chloe, who had been listening from the other end of the office, watched him with concern. "Everything okay?" she asked, leaving her work to approach him. Liam nodded slowly, though his expression said otherwise. My mother wants us to go to her house tonight. She says she has something important to tell me. Something about my father. Chloe looked at him intently, trying to decipher if this was a good idea. Do you think it's a trap? Liam sighed. Probably, but if there's something I really need to know, I can't ignore it. Then I'm going with you, Chloe said with determination. Liam looked at her, surprised but grateful. Are you sure? I don't want you to expose yourself more to her. If we're going to face this together, then I'm going. That night, they arrived at the imposing Sterling mansion in the Hamptons. The opulence of the house contrasted sharply with the warmth of Chloe's small apartment. Upon entering, they were greeted by Eleanor's glacial gaze, which seemed more calculating than ever. Thank you for coming, she said, with a tone that conveyed no gratitude whatsoever. Let's get straight to the point, Mom. What did you want to tell me? Liam asked bluntly. Eleanor walked to a table and pulled out a worn leather envelope. She placed it in front of them carefully. This envelope contains something your father never told you, something that changes everything. Liam frowned and opened the envelope cautiously. Inside were legal documents, letters, and an updated will from his father. Chloe, who was by his side, watched in silence. As he read, Liam's expression shifted from surprise to disbelief. He finally put the papers on the table and turned to his mother. Why did you hide this from me? Your father didn't want you to know, Eleanor replied, crossing her arms. He didn't want you to know he had left a portion of his fortune to someone else. Liam picked up one of the documents and read it aloud. To my son, Liam, I leave a personal fund so that he can build his own future out from the pressures of this family. This changes everything, Mom, Liam said, with a mixture of relief and anger. He knew what you and Patrick were going to do. That's why he left me this opportunity. Liam, listen to me, Eleanor said, trying to regain control. That money can help you regain your place in the company, to save what's left of our name. I don't want to save anything, Liam replied, with a firmness that made Chloe look at him with admiration. This money is what I need to finally cut ties with this family. Eleanor pressed her lips together, clearly furious. If you do this, Liam, you will be a stranger to me, to everyone. Liam took a deep breath. I already am, Mom. You pushed me away a long time ago. When they left the mansion, the fresh air gave them instant relief. Liam stopped in the garden, looking up at the sky. Are you okay? Chloe asked, approaching him. Liam nodded. For the first time in a long time? Yes. Chloe took his hand and squeezed it. What do you plan to do with that fund? Liam smiled, more relaxed than he had been in weeks. Invest it in our company, in our future. Chloe looked at him with a mixture of surprise and excitement. For the first time, the pieces seemed to fit, and what was once a constant struggle now felt like an opportunity. Then we're going to make it count, Chloe said with a smile as they walked towards the car. Liam looked at her and knew that no matter what, they were ready to face whatever came. Together, the triumph of authenticity and love. 2 years later, the small business that Liam and Chloe had started together, in a modest building in downtown New York City, had become an unexpected success story. Innovate Together, as they had decided to call it, was now a benchmark in technological solutions and marketing strategies for small and medium-sized businesses. Through much effort, patience, and a shared vision, they had demonstrated that their alliance, both professional and personal, could flourish. That night, a new gala was held at a luxurious hotel in Midtown. However, this time, it wasn't an exclusive event for the corporate elite, but an awards ceremony celebrating the impact of local entrepreneurs on the economy. Liam and Chloe were nominated in the Best Innovative Company of the Year category. Chloe, dressed in an elegant blue gown she had bought with her first bonus as a partner, proudly watched Liam as he spoke with other entrepreneurs. Beside her, Leo, now 10 years old, nervously adjusted the small bow tie of his suit. "Do you think we're going to win, Mom?" Leo asked, looking around curiously. "I don't know, darling, but it doesn't matter. What we've achieved is already enough of a prize," Chloe replied, caressing his hair with a smile. When it was time for the announcement, Chloe took Liam's hand. Although they were used to the nerves of work, this moment was special. When they heard their name as winners, Chloe felt time stop for a second before being enveloped by applause. They went up to the stage together, with Leo proudly following them. Liam took the microphone and looked at the audience, but then turned to Chloe. "This award is not just for me or for our company. It's for Chloe, the person who showed me that the most valuable things in life aren't bought with money, but with effort, love, and authenticity. And it's also for Leo, who reminds us every day why we do all of this." Chloe felt tears welling up in her eyes as the applause resonated around them. They weren't just a team in business. They were a family, something she never imagined finding in the circumstances in which everything had begun. Later that night, after the awards ceremony, Liam and Chloe were on the hotel balcony observing the city lights. Leo was inside, proudly showing off the trophy to other children attending the event. "What are you thinking?" Liam asked, wrapping an arm around her. Chloe smiled, leaning her head on his shoulder. "I'm thinking I wouldn't change anything we went through, not even the difficult moments. Everything led us here." Liam looked at her tenderly. "And here is exactly where I want to be." Chloe looked up at him, with a smile that spoke of trust, love, and security. After everything they had been through, they knew they needed nothing more than mutual support to face whatever came. That night, under the stars and the city lights, Liam, Chloe, and Leo became a symbol of how love and resilience can overcome any barrier. Together, they had not only built a business, but a life that made them truly happy, a life that was finally their own. What a journey, right? If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe for more compelling stories of triumph and transformation.